New Orleans Mardi Gras. Honestly, it was never on my bucket list, yet here I am on a Mardi Gras float with my family and friends, and to think, I almost said no to the whole trip. Get ready as TripGruv goes behind the scenes of Mardi Gras. Oh, and see that guy? That's our friend Steve. This year, he's the king. New Orleans has a reputation. Loud, wild, excessive. Bourbon Street, beads, hurricanes, hangovers. People don't often describe New Orleans as beautiful. But spend a week really inside it, and it's the only word that fits. We invite you to join us for a rare insider's perspective on the beauty and unmatched spirit of this remarkable American city. So Rachel and I have had the absolute pleasure of going to New Orleans a couple of times, and a couple of years ago, one of Rachel's colleagues, Angela, invited us to be a part of the crew, and that's spelled with a K and an E.
Paul, these people need answers. Why is it spelled that way?
I don't know. And where did you come from? Okay. Anyways, so the crew that we ended up joining is called the Krewe Pontchartrain. And to be honest with you, work was kind of busy and I almost said no, but Rachel, she can be very persuasive. So the first year we rode the float as vampires with our friends Steve and Angela. And then last year we were cowboys and cowgirls. And this year our float theme is super galactic. You know, as in super galactic astronauts and Martians. As we arrive in New Orleans, we can already feel that this year is going to be different. As mentioned, our friend Steve isn't just riding in the parade. He will be crowned the king of the Krewe of Pontchartrain. And we are so excited to bring you along with us as we experience the Mardi Gras season together. Rachel and I knew this was going to be an unforgettable week. So we also invited anyone who could make the trip. My brother Mark and his wife Carlene, my best friend Ronnie, our daughter Michaela, and our son Christian, along with 6 of his closest friends. They all made the trip. So for the math nerds in the audience, that's 13 of us, 5 days, 1 city, and, oh, I almost forgot. Rachel and I had 1 mission during this trip. So that's 13 plus 5 and 1 plus 1. Wait, carry the 2. Hold on a second. Let's see. Why was I adding this up? Oh yeah. Rachel and I have 1 mission during this trip. Just 1. And it started on our first day. We headed over to the float barn to load our throws for the ride, and among the beads, the stuffed animals, and the footballs, Rachel had packed something very special in this bag right here. 2 superhero costumes. We thought it would be fun to have 1 very specific mission on the 3-hour-long ride. Like a quest in a video game, our mission was to find Christian in the crowd of thousands. Rachel would throw the superhero costumes and hope that, number 1, Rachel's throw is far enough to get it to Christian, and number 2, he catches at least 1 of them. Oh, and here's the catch, pun intended. Christian will have no idea that he's a part of this mission. So our first night, we joined the crew at a neighborhood jazz blues club. Not on Bourbon Street, not in a tourist guide, a real neighborhood club. The kind of place only locals know about. Musicians rotating in and out all night, each one adding something new to the room. The music was incredible. Then, a member of our crew, Uncle Ray, got up on stage and started singing. It was great. But then this guy here in the audience pulled out a trombone and just started playing along with the band. And then Uncle Ray was like, "Hey man, if you want to play, get up here on stage and play." So he did. So what did Uncle Ray do? Well, he pulled out his kazoo, of course. Kazoo versus trombone in a New Orleans club. And somehow, it worked. That's when I understood something about this city. New Orleans doesn't try to make sense. Uncle Ray brought a kazoo to a trombone fight, and it could be argued that the kazoo won. That's the beautiful thing about this city. It makes no sense and perfect sense at the same time. The next afternoon, we were invited to a crawfish boil at a crew member's home. Barbecued meats, mountains of crawfish, corn, potatoes, and for many, it was their first time eating crawfish. But Rachel had eaten plenty in our travels to New Orleans over the years. And she was more than happy to give a quick tutorial on how to eat a proper New Orleans mud bug.
And then you feed it to your sister-in-law.
Oh my goodness.
My brother Mark, on the other hand, never went near the crawfish table. He just couldn't get over the idea of eating a mud bug. You know, it's interesting. Sit in a crew member's backyard, brimming with hospitality, eating crawfish with strangers who feel like family. And you start to understand beauty in New Orleans looks like strangers becoming family over a pile of crawfish. The following night was the crew's Coronation Ball. The night Steve would officially be announced as the 51st King of Pontchartrain. This isn't just a party, this is a living history. And somehow, I find myself backstage representing our float. The fanfare begins with a marching band. Then previous kings were introduced one by one, each one a chapter in the crew's history. And then they introduced each float. I got to stand up and represent me, a guy from San Diego, representing a float in a 51-year-old New Orleans tradition. I'm throwing beads, and then it happened. One of the necklaces breaks, beads flying everywhere. You can hear my daughter laughing as it happens. And the show, it must go on. So I kick them safely aside and quickly exit stage left. Then the royal court, each member announced, presented, celebrated. The beauty of something done the same way, year after year. Because it's the moment we've all been waiting for.
All hail the king!
Followed by the Queen.
Ladies and gentlemen, we proudly present to you King and Queen Pontchartrain the 51st.
Then, of course, it was time for the second line.
Has officially begun. Everyone, please join the crew along with the king, the queen, and the lovely court of Pontchartrain in the traditional second line. Hail, King and Queen Pontchartrain, the 51st. Laissez les bon temps brûler!
And now it was time to celebrate King Steve. New Orleans is beautiful for a lot of reasons. Tonight, it was because our friend became a king. The next day, we had lunch at Antoine's, a restaurant established in 1840. Franklin Roosevelt, Eisenhower, Obama, they've all eaten here. It survived the Civil War, 2 World Wars, Katrina, and on this particular afternoon, the crew of Pontchartrain. Everyone wearing their Mardi Gras best, enjoying good food and good company. And then we heard it. Brass, drums, the unmistakable sound of New Orleans spilling through the door. The second line, a tradition born from jazz funerals, a way this city learned to celebrate life even in the middle of loss. If you've never done a second line, you haven't lived. It's not a parade, it's not a march, it's a city reminding you that joy is always worth celebrating. The brass band leading the way, then the king and queen, and our whole crew behind them. Strangers joining in every direction, the music bouncing off buildings, and then we ended up on a balcony, throwing beads to the crowd. In one afternoon, we had lunch at a table fit for presidents, danced through the French Quarter behind a brass band, and threw beads to a crowd full of strangers. How do you process that? One afternoon, a president's table, a second line, a balcony, and doing it all with the ones you love. Tell me that's not beautiful. The next morning, we ride. The final morning has arrived. As we head to our float, we see Steve on the King's float, leading the pack. Now it's time to get on our float. But first, a quick check what's behind this door. Oh yeah, that's the bathroom. Is that a bucket? Thankfully, no one had to use it. Here comes Ronnie. You coming up, Ron? Getting into the spaceship. Captain Ronnie. We all make it on, and somewhere in those bags of throws, Rachel's 2 superhero costumes meant for Christian, because the mission is still on. 18 floats lined up, months of planning. Check the costumes, tie yourselves in. It's 11:30, and the crew of Pontchartrain is about to head off. Everyone's out there waiting. And Michaela, what do you have to say? And then we hear the band start to play, and the float begins to move. You guys ready? Here we go! It's time to ride. Ready, Michaela? From the street, Mardi Gras feels massive. From up here, it feels impossible. Good catch! The energy of the crowd, the laughter, the screams, the joy, the pure joy. There's nothing like it. For 3 hours we threw beads. Our daughter throwing her first strand, my brother and his wife working as a team, my friend Ronnie laughing the whole time, me trying to film everything, Rachel glowing, Steve somewhere up ahead giving the royal wave. How you guys doing? You all right? You all right, Ronnie? You okay? All right. All the while, searching the crowd for Christian. Is that him? No. Wait, there he is. Oh no, that's not him. Hours passed. And as we made the final turn on Canal Street, Rachel finally spotted him. Christian, in the crowd with his 6 friends. Everything led up to this moment. Get Christian the package. You can't see it here, but Rachel grabbed the first superhero costume, wound up, and threw. It went wide. She grabbed the second one. Threw again. It bounced off him. Right there. And disappeared into the crowd. The float kept moving. We kept throwing beads, but something felt unfinished. The mission. It had failed. After a good 3+ hours, the parade ended. The float wound through the back streets. We should have been exhausted, but strangely, it's very hard to feel tired after experiencing something like we did. All the joy, laughter, excitement, it really is like nothing else. Truly a rush.
I gotta take it so bad I can taste it.
There's a bucket right there. And there was Steve, no longer on his throne, just our friend, standing in the street. We asked him how it felt to be king, to ride through those streets, to have an entire city cheering for him. Some moments don't need words. His face said everything. Now it was time to find Christian and his friends, so we headed over to the crew after party. And that's where we saw them, Christian's friends. One of them had a cape on, another one had a cape and a mask, another just a mask. The superhero costumes Rachel threw, the ones that missed Christian, the ones that disappeared into the crowd, they found their people. And here's what I know about Christian and his friends. They've been superheroes for each other for years, through the hard stuff, the real stuff, the kind of friendship that shows up when it matters most. I thank God for Christian's friends. Rachel didn't miss. Those capes landed exactly where they were supposed to. Mission accomplished. Later that night, we made our way to Steve and Angela's suite. The kids came too, all of us together one last time. After the crowds, after the noise, after the parade and the party and the king and the capes, these are the moments that matter. Mardi Gras reminded me how much I love my crew, the people around my family. For that, I'm eternally grateful. Saying goodbye to the people who started all of this, the ones who kept inviting us until we finally said yes. And it's crazy to think that 3 years ago, Rachel came home with an invitation, and I almost said no. Later that night, Rachel and I walked to the Mississippi with Christian and his friends. Barges drifting by, a train crossing. The city is quiet behind us. And standing there next to the river, next to my wife, next to my son and his superhero friends, I think about this word beautiful again, and this amazing city. And then one of Christian's friends said it. Saman, overtaken by the moment, says, "Did you hear it?" He said, "Look, how beautiful." Saman, I couldn't agree more. When people think of New Orleans, beautiful isn't the word that comes to mind. Bourbon Street, beads, hurricanes, hangovers. But spend a week really inside the city, and beautiful is the only word that fits. It's in the music of a neighborhood club. It's in a backyard crawfish boil where strangers become family. It's in 51 years of tradition and one friend wearing a crown. It's in a second line through streets that have heard that music for over a century. It's in two superhero capes that missed their target and found their purpose. There are two New Orleans. We found the beautiful one. And we hope you do too. Until our next adventure, keep packing those suitcases, keep exploring, and if someone invites you to something and your first instinct is to say, maybe next year, say yes. Because you never know what you're saying no to. If you enjoyed this insider look at Mardi Gras in New Orleans, please like and subscribe. And also check out the TripGruv review of our favorite New Orleans hotel, the Hyatt House, New Orleans. New Orleans, we'll be back.